Yo, what's going on everyone? I got a new video for us today. It's basically just going to be me talking about what I want to see in Smite 2. I got some Assault gameplay going on in the background just so it's not just my face behind a blank screen. I enjoy playing Assault. I think Assault is very fun. It's very relaxing to play. They don't really change a whole lot in the jungle in Smite, and that's what I am. I'm a jungler, so I hate when the game gets very boring and repetitive for me pretty quickly because the jungle never changes. We've had the same builds for I don't know how long, a couple months at this point. Nothing changes at all. So that's gonna be kind of a whole different topic. But so some things I want in Smite 2. I don't really have a list or anything. I'm just gonna talk about it while the gameplay plays in the background, and maybe if I got a little time, talk about why I did some of the things. If you're interested in Assault, then this is also for you. But speaking of Assault, I think one thing that Smite 2 needs to have is these type of game modes, Assault and Arena. I think those game modes are very important to Smite's success, especially for Smite 2. Mainly because I think people don't really comprehend how many people actually play those game modes. Yeah, I know Conquest is the main mode, and that's what I believe that they should be, balancing around. I believe they should balance around Conquest, not around Assault or Arena. Mainly because I think that's stupid. Why would you balance around the game modes that aren't the main game modes to be playing, right? That should make a lot of sense. But I think that when it comes to the casual player base, I think Assault and Arena are very popular, and not a lot of other MOBAs have game modes like this. So I think that'd be very important for Smite to keep. I think they're more fun than people give them credit for, just especially if you just want to hop on the game and relax, get a game in 15-20 minutes, and this is your game mode. Most arena or most conquest games, especially nowadays, go 35 to 40 minutes long, so they can be pretty annoying to play, especially if you don't have a whole lot of time, to get in the game and you want to play a game. So I think the game modes like this, like your casual game modes, are very important because I think that they, open up to a whole new player base who wants to play the game casually, and I think that's what Smite 2 needs. It's not, if they want to focus on the competitive side, make that all conquest, but then still leave these modes in there where, the people that want to play casually and enjoy their time are still allowed to do that. I think that'd be very important, and I think that's still be fun because, like I said, I enjoy hopping on. If I don't really feel like playing a whole lot of games or playing 2 conquest games, I can get 4 or 5 arena games or 3 assault games in that time, and that's perfectly fine for me because I got no issue just sitting there and just brawl it the whole time. That's fun. That's fine with me. Especially if they don't change a whole lot of things. That's one thing I wish that they would be doing right now is they'd be bringing up these cool, or they would be adding in new changes, and they'd just be experimenting with Smite 1 at this point. Because Smite 2 comes out multiple months from now, I think that if they experimented in Smite 1 and they found out, hey, player bases love this, or the fans really enjoy this, we should keep this in Smite 2. Another hot topic thing that I think that they should do, or not really a hot topic, but something that people will talk about a lot, is skins in Smite. I'm not trying to say Smite 2 should port over every single one of the skins, because that's just not possible. It'll take too long, but I think when it comes to porting over skins, I think that they should really focus on the crossover skins. I think those, granted they probably cost the most money, but I think, they're the most exciting for Smite players to see, your favorite TV show character or whatever character, favorite VTuber, whatever. I know that was a popular thing they did recently. Keep those things in the game and, try to cross them over. Even if you're a big fan of Slipknot, right? Raijin, Poseidon, they got some Slipknot skins. So I think that'd be pretty cool to keep in the game or port over later. I think that'd be pretty important. Mainly just because, it kind of, it makes you feel like you want to purchase those skins, right? You see some cool stuff that you really enjoy, that makes you more inclined to buy skins, right? Same with like the Danny Phantom and all the Nickelodeon stuff. I think that was pretty cool. But yeah, guess those 2 just off the top of my head, those 2 are pretty important, not just for me, but I think most Smite players would agree with those, that, they need to keep those type of game modes in the game and, port over skins. I know people get mad that they can't port over all the skins, which that's super understandable, right? Just port over the Smite skins are pretty annoying, or not annoying, but there's so many of them at this point. There's what 11 years of skins that they got to port over. I think that that's pretty high expectations, for Hi-Rez to have from the community. Another thing that I would say Smite2 needs to have, I think Smite2, from what I've seen so far, this is just me. Keep in mind, this is everything I'm saying is my own personal opinion. I got no facts to back any of this stuff up, but this is all just my own personal opinion. One thing I think that the Smite2 needs to keep in mind is I think the ease of building in Smite1 is pretty, it's not very complicated at all, to be honest with you. Granted, it looks pretty complicated. It's in a tree, but I hope that they don't, like, the building mechanics isn't too complicated for the current or for the next game, right? Because it's just going to be even more that you got to learn, especially for new players. I know Smite2, they want to reach out to new players. That's kind of the whole reason they're making a Smite2 is to try to hype up people to say, hey, we want to reach out to a new player base. And if this building system is super complicated and is not very user or noob friendly, then I think that'll kind of push people away from the game, right? I think the build system now, while it is maybe a little boring, I think it could be slightly better, but I hope it isn't, overly complicated to the fact that where people are going to be wanting to step away from the game because they got to focus so hard on what to build and, what items go where and how to do all that type of stuff. I think it's pretty streamlined, pretty easy now. I just hope it doesn't get too complicated in the future. I know that they're going to go into a multi-tier, item system, which I'm not opposed of. That'll bring in some other MOBA players into the game, which will help boost the player base, which I think will be good. Maybe boost the competitive scene a little bit, which I'm all for that. But I just hope, we want to. I think Hi-Rez needs to be reaching out for just totally new MOBA players as well. I think Smite fits that very niche style of MOBA, especially for me. Where I hate the top-down view of MOBAs. Especially games like League. I think they're really cool. I just cannot. I just have a really hard time playing them just because I don't like the top-down view. I really enjoy the third-person view that Smite has, so that fits the perfect niche for me. So I hope I'm assuming I know they're gonna say it like that, but I just want to say that that's one thing I really enjoy about Smite is I really love playing the game. And oh wait, we're gonna see this? Sorry, I got distracted. I couldn't remember if I hit that sniper or not, but missed the second one, but at least I hit the first one. And the third one. I went kind of crazy there, helping out Chalk. My bad. Get a little distracted watching. I'm watching the game while I'm talking at the same time. But yeah, so I hope those three things are probably my biggest things I want for Smite. Just I want some skins. I want to keep the game modes and also keeping the game user friendly, especially. I think that's going to be a very big thing for them is keeping the game user friendly. I do want to say that I think for Smite2, this might be kind of a hot take, but I think Smite2, when they first come out with the game and they're in the their beta phase, even after their monthly weekend playtest, I think they should spend the first couple months to upwards of a year just trying out new things, right? While the game's in beta, I think that'd be very important for them to just try out new things, right? Whether that be experimenting with God kits, or experimenting with roles in the game, and or just the map layout. Now, speaking of God kits, one thing that I think Smite should do is step away from either these overly complicated kits or these, super easy brain dead kits. Two gods that come to mind are obviously the two most recent ones, Nut and Bake Kujira. Bake Kujira's kit, like, while there's a lot of reading involved with it, it's very, very simple and standard to understand. All you do is press left click and press 2 and 4. You don't even have to press 1. You don't even have to press 3 if you don't want to. You can play the whole game without pressing either of those abilities. His kit is just way too boring and not exciting at all, especially for a new god coming out. In the 11th, 10th year of Smite, right? That's just too boring. It's not exciting enough. But then you got gods like Nut that are relatively non-user friendly, where they have a pretty decently high skill gap, which I'm not opposed to something like that. But her kit, I don't want to say it's too non-user friendly or hard for people to understand, right? I think that's a big thing about her kit, specifically is shit. there's so much to read. I don't know if you ever looked over her abilities, but you're basically reading whole pages from the Bible trying to figure out what each of her abilities do, right? It's not enjoyable. I know this might be kind of weird to say, but I honestly really enjoy the kits. You know, the no-nonsense kits like on her, right? He's got, you know, CC, he's got a jump, and he's got CC immunity ult. I think that's very standard, very simple kit. Not trying to say every god should have a kit like that, but I think that, you know, they should stick with that sort of schematic, right? I'd say the most, you know, interesting, crazy kit that kind of works, you know, that I've experienced and that I enjoy is Ullr's kit. That kit's very complicated, but it's still pretty user friendly, right? There's not a whole lot to read. You know, it's pretty, each one of his abilities, while he has, you know, 7 of them, they're all pretty easy and basic to understand, right? You just gotta, this is a god that takes a lot of practice. I think there's a difference between a god having a high skill cap and, you know, pretty easy to understand, and a god that's has a high skill cap and is, you know, not user friendly whatsoever. I think that's, ooh, look at that flick right there. Sorry, but that's just something that, you know, I think that's something that they should, you know, keep in mind. Is not, the whole game is not built around just the competitive player base at all, because that's just not true. Smite does not have the money in the game that, you know, League or Dota or, you know, any of those games have, right? They probably make most of their money, if I had to guess, from, you know, your casual people just buying skins and stuff like that. So being able to keep kits and, you know, God reading pretty user friendly, I think would be pretty important for Smite. I think that's, you know, I think that's kind of all I got to think about at the moment. You know, I think, you know, there's some good talk, like some good points for me. I think probably my, you know, obviously I talked about earlier, me being a jungle, my least favorite part about Smite at the current moment is when they announced Smite2 and at the end of Worlds, you know, my initial thought was, hey, they got, you know, 8-9 months of, you know, trying out crazy shit and, you know, making the game as exciting as possible and going into a bunch of different directions. But, you know, and these monthly updates, I actually really enjoy them. You know, it keeps the meta fresh, it keeps, you know, it keeps the items new, whatever you build, it changes the builds constantly, which I do really enjoy that if you have, you know, a semi-good understanding of the game. Having a bunch of different things to go up, or having a bunch of different builds come up over and over again, like, I think that's cool, keeps you experimenting, right? That's one thing I really enjoy Smite at the moment. I really enjoy these weekly or these monthly updates, but back to my previous thought, when they announced Smite2 and they had started all these whole, or we're going to do monthly updates, we're going to change things, they didn't really change anything. All they did is, you know, like I said, if you're a jungler, the jungle hasn't really changed, you know, necessarily at all. It's been very boring the whole time. You build the same thing every single game. It's not very exciting to play, I'll be honest with you. That's why I'm really excited about patch days, just because I love watching the patch notes, because I sit there and I pray that just something changes with the jungle, or an assassin gets buffed, or we get, you know, items get, you know, changed, or they get nerfed, or they get buffed. Or I pray for those type of patch notes, because I'm so sick of building Jotuns, Brawlers, Crusher, Heartseeker, Titan's Bane every single game. Like, it's with Eye of the Jungle, or it's so boring to me. It's not very exciting at all, and that's one thing that I wish that they would actually, you know, consider doing, is, you know, trying to change the roles around a little bit. I think since the game, or since these patches, the only the only roles that are necessarily getting any changes are the solo lane and obviously the mid lane, because so multiple patches where mid laners either get buffed or nerfed, or their items get buffed. We just had a whole patch where all of the mid lane's items got, like, the whole build got turned around and everything changed with the Book of Thoth nerf, right? I think that was pretty, you know, good for mid laners and a bunch of changes to them, right? We recently just saw the Odin change as well, which I think that was very good for him. You saw that same thing with Agni. We only saw one change, and that was with Bastet. and that wasn't necessarily a game breaking change for her. While it was handy and good quality of life thing, it wasn't necessarily end all be all make her top of the meta god. I do think she's already pretty good, but I don't think that made her the must play jungler of that patch, right? Your gods like Thor, Thanatos were still dominating, and if they do roll out with some nerfs, they don't like actually nerf anything that's actually effective on the god, right? I know they just recently nerfed Thanatos this patch, or not this patch. I think it was a bonus patch ago, and the only thing that they did was they nerfed the movement speed and his pen by 5 on his 2, which that's you're not really feeling that because you already built. If you build Jotuns anyway, you're already basically, even with a 30 instead of 35, you're still what 5 under flat pen cap. And all you have to do is just pick up yellow buff now or yellow shaman, and boom, you're still right there, which you're typically doing anyway. So I think when they do eventually end up nerfing a god, either they nerf him into the ground or they do something that doesn't really affect the god, at all, right? Or affect the meta or the change style. I think hopefully, I don't know what time this video is going to go up, but it just they're having a patch come out where they're going to talk about, or not where they're talking about, where they're adding in more stuff to the jungle, like the Bull Demon King, which I think that's going to be pretty exciting. And 2 new items. The Hunter item is ass and totally useless. I don't know why they're adding that into the game. They need to, if they're going to add stupid items like that, it's pointless because no one's going to build it. And they sit there in the viewer, in the stream, and they're hyping it up. Like, this item's awesome. The item's ass. I'll just be honest with you. If you're building that item, you're hard trolling yourself and your team. It's a useless item. No, you're never hitting 999 a cap, like 999 attack speed ever in a game. Don't build that item when it comes out, please. Item's ass. But I am excited. Juggle got a good item. The item looks amazing. I'll be super excited to try that out on a bunch of different gods. Aaron Knight got buffed too. I'm excited to try out all that stuff. So they are actually, semi-changing stuff in the jungle, which, I know I complain about them not doing that at all, but they finally started doing that, and that's pretty exciting for me. I know if you're probably ADC, you're probably a little pissed at yourself because nothing has changed in the ADC role ever since the start of the season. Basically, y'all are going through a bunch of different builds. There's the mannequins build for a little while, which I thought that was pretty cool and pretty exciting. But then ever since then, it's been back. There was that crit meta for like about a month and a half, which that was exciting. You gotta change through everything. But I think the biggest issue with ADC is that there's gonna be one build that's your meta build, and every other build just cannot compete with the meta build, and that's the issue with ADC. And that's how it's always going to be with ADC, because that's your main that's maybe not necessarily your main damage role, but that's the main role when it comes to burning objectives and damaging tanks and everything like that. That's the main role. So your meta builds are going to be super important when it comes to that. And like I said, I think that's just how it will always be. I should have Aegis there. Maybe would have killed him, but it is what it is. Sorry, I got a little distracted again. But yeah, I think being able to not be afraid. I don't want to say not be afraid to change the game a lot, but not being afraid to make shifts in the meta and change how the game works, and not be afraid to buff stuff or nerf stuff, right? I think that's going to be pretty exciting, especially for your returning players. I think your new players won't really care about what's in the meta. They're just hanging out and having fun. But when it comes to the competitive side of things, I hope they keep stuff changing. Because when I would watch, well, I don't know what that was. Sorry. When I watched the SPL, I was big into watching the SPL. I loved watching the SPL. But when I would watch the SPL, there wasn't, like, the games were so boring. Mainly just because nothing was really getting changed a whole lot, which, that's not necessarily on them. It's kind of on the play style of the game as well. But I think if there's more interesting stuff going on, more changes going on in the game, I think, SPL would be much more enjoyable to watch, right? Instead of seeing the same, 6 gods, or the same 12 gods basically every single game. Think about how long it took them to nerf Athena. I remember seeing Athena for probably almost 2 months of SPL all the way into yeah. Their Suko was trolling. I don't know if you saw Red say that man had Deathbringer and everything else was trash, but I'm sorry about that again. I got distracted, but just they took them almost 3 months to nerf that Athena. I'm sorry, not Anina. To nerf that Athena, and she's still now still probably top of the meta. Well, not top of the meta, but she's still probably one of the best guardians in the game, even after her small nerfs. They changed her passive, which I'll be honest, I don't really think that affects her at all. I don't think that makes her any worse. I don't think that makes her any better. But I just, I think they need to stick with making exciting changes, or changes like this. My last thing that I'll say is that I hope that for Smite 2, they change. Like, I know they're gonna do major. I hope they do one major kit change to every single one of the gods, or one major kit upgrade to every single one of the gods. Right? Where they change ability, they make an ability. Have special effects like Ymir. He's able to. The one is gonna make him jump the wall. It's gonna make him do some cool, crazy leap, which I think that's really exciting. I think I already know that they announced it, but I hope that they stick with that theme and give some crazy kit change to all the gods, right? That would just make the game feel super fresh to their returning player base. Like I said, the new players, they're not going to care about anything like that. But your returning player base is going to, they're gonna flip the lids when they see their favorite character with some totally new ability. Hopefully this shit's not ass. That'd be horrible, and I feel bad for them. But I think that could be super exciting. Yeah, I think that's about. I know I always said this once, but I think that's about all I have to say about what I want in Smite 2. Like I said, this whole list, I guess that I said was all kind of freestyle. I know I kind of meandered a bit and talked about some other stuff. I just enjoy playing the game. I love playing Smites. As much as I might pain myself to say this, it's probably one of my favorite games of all time now. I haven't been playing it the whole 10 years, but I had played it a little bit, over the last couple years. Over the last couple years, I had played it every once in a while. I, never really wasn't really a fan of the MOBAs at that time, and then, I got older and I love the competitive aspect of Conquest. It's my favorite, and just playing Conquest has also led me into playing Arena and stuff like that too, because I think that stuff's really enjoyable and fun to play. Just because it's something new, right? Just watching this gameplay back, it's cool that I just get to sit here and just hold left click and spam fight the whole time. To me, that's fun, right? Now I can't main this game mode. No way in hell I can main this game mode, but I can 100% hop on and play this game mode every once in a while. It's very enjoyable. Arena, probably a little less enjoyable, but I do enjoy these game modes a lot. They're pretty fun. Oh, look at those yellow numbers. Oh yeah. Yep. This is my list of what I want to Smite 2. I just had this video put over the background. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and if you listened the whole way too, I appreciate that very much. If you got anything that you want in Smite 2, please put it down in the comments section down below, and I do read comments if they are put in the section. I do read them, so I do want to say thank you very much for everyone that comments, and thank you for everyone that subscribes, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.